bad health, they should know and expect that there is a possibility that it will come back with a rating on it. Does that all make sense?
Yeah, and that's what I say. That's
okay. Perfect.
No different.
Okay, great.
And I'm going to add to this.
No, you're not allowed.
Yes, I'm going to, because it's really good.
What's up, buddy?
What's up, man?
What's going on, Mike?
I would actually, when I go back to a client that has a policy that's slightly different than applied for, I always open it up with, "Hey, great news. We got you covered. There's going to be a couple of adjustments that we'll have to make. Okay, like I said before, it doesn't always come back as we thought it was. But the good thing is that out of the 40 some, 60 some, whatever you guys say is the number. I say usually 60 some carriers that we work with. We've got you covered. We got to make sure that we know exactly what it is. It's a little bit different than what we had originally looked at, but that's what I'd already told you, that it might come back a little bit different. So I always come back at them with a, "Hey, good news. We got you covered. There's some adjustments." Because you don't want, if you come into that saying, "Oh man, we got a graded policy." Well, they're going to look at you saying, "Well, you're the expert and you think it's a bad policy just by your posture." So that can tend to help. You want to direct them. Graded policies are not bad. Honestly, graded policy means that from a risk standpoint, you are a big risk to an insurance carrier. And if you really want to be blunt, the insurance carrier thinks there's a high chance you're going to pass away in the first 2 years. If you really want to look at if I had a graded policy and someone, that's all I could get, I'd look up and say, "Man, I need to change my lifestyle. There's some stuff in my life right now that's be unhealthy."
Yeah, I'm turning raw vegan the next day because I understand exactly what that's saying. And they're saying, right now, you're an over 40% risk of dying in the next 5 years, and probably an over 25% chance risk of dying in the next 2 years.
Yep. So that's where, it's all about your posture when you do hand this over to people, and the way you phrase it is going to be a lot of how they're going to accept a less than par policy. All right. So, you guys were talking about a few things before. I didn't mean to butt in too much. I do want to, by the way, welcome to those that are on here for the first time. This is our Thursday morning group mentor session. This is designed to be for you guys. So this is not, I don't have an agenda. I do have a couple of things that I think would be helpful to cover, but really this is you guys' time. And I know you guys were already going over some of that. I want to talk through in the first probably 20 minutes or so. I want to talk through maybe even 30 minutes, questions, concerns, things that you guys are running into. If we need to do some role playing on phoning in the home, presentation items, this is you guys' time. So I'm gonna kind of pass it off to you guys and have you, what items are you needing some guidance in, some mentorship in? It doesn't matter what area it is, if it's production, recruiting, you name it. What do we need to be talking about that would be best helpful for the team?
Also, just one final thing, no bummers. Let's keep this upbeat. Anytime we turn this over, we always run the risk of it just becoming like a collective moan session. And I think as a team, I'm very proud of you guys because it very rarely devolves into that. But let's just try and not run that risk.
It's a good point. So open it up. What do you guys have that we need to talk through? What are some challenges you guys are going through? And please don't say that everything's going right, because it never is. You always got to be working on stuff.
Mike, this is Omar. Got to get off the internet. My internet's down, so I'm having real poor connection from using it through my mobile. So I had to dial in. But basically, I would say just that. Just I got a policy that's graded. We did try to apply through American Amicable just because his budget he can't afford to pay for what he needs. So we tried American Amicable. We did a risk assessment. We did a calling interview, and everything seems to be going great. Waiting the results from that. Uh, have another policy, that's through Mutual of Omaha. 35-year-old doesn't seem like anything's wrong or nothing like that, but there is a phone interview, and I've had phone interviews before that they just do a phone interview and then it goes through. So that's another one. Then I have another one, 62-year-old that I submitted yesterday. We'll see how that one comes back, but I guess there's just challenges out there. Just as the fact that there's some policies coming back.
Okay. So is there a question or how can?
No, that was just challenges out there. I'm trying to open it up, see if anybody has anything else to say.
Gotcha. Okay. Anyone else? So open it up. You guys aren't talkative this morning. Come on, guys. Questions. This is going to be a short mentor session.
What do you say when you got a client? Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Omar.
All right, we got a client that that was my early before last night meeting. Sat down with him, went through everything. Said, what, I'm very interested. Let me have your card. I'm gonna call you in a month because just got the home, been in the home. I've only made 1 or 2 payments. Been in the home for 2 months. I know I need to get this. I want to get this. I don't want to start anything yet. I don't want to start to the beginning of the month. And you turn around and say, well, listen, let's see if you qualify. Let's get your application put in there. And you keep on insisting, but you try to phrase it in the way that everything I've learned. If this is something you're interested in, this is something that's of value to you, then we got to get you. We got to get the application submitted first of all to see if you apply. This isn't a guaranteed issue or nothing like that, but you just can't budge. Nothing's going well.
Well, there's 2 things to kind of address or look at in that situation. I push them as far as I'm comfortable with, but when I get to the point where they're like, no, I want to wait, and they've decided, and they're, then I'm going to push them on something else. And I've done this very bluntly before. Sometimes you can literally look at them and say, hey, Bob, let's just be real with each other. Okay. You're not going to remember to call me in a month. Okay. I have yet to have someone call me 30 days after they meet with me because it's that important and remember to call me to buy something. That doesn't happen. It's not going to happen. So let's just call a spade a spade. Let's just call it for what it is. How do we move forward where it's not a waste of your time or a waste of my time? Because here's what I have found. I have found that, yes, there is a percentage of people that do want to wait, but they're such procrastinators and they just forget. There's so much other stuff going on. They're not going to call you. They're not going to remember to call. So that's the direction that I would go is I would call it what it is. I would address the situation. Yes. And I would get, when do you want me to call you back? Because you're not going to call me. I know that. And get the time. I mean, if it's, a week out, how much time do you need before we can make this decision? Because a yes and a no I can deal with. A maybe doesn't work. So if it's
a Northwestern, yes, but I completely agree. And I will do this also. I will challenge them, and I will say, we both know that you're going to dig your heels in right now, and it's not my agenda to overly press you, but we also know that you're not going to remember to call me in 30 days. So we have essentially two options. I can call you, or we can schedule it right now. We can put it in your calendar and we can honor that time and we can keep it.
Well, we did that. We put on the calendar, his calendar, my calendar. I actually sent him an invite to call him. But I guess my biggest thing was, I wanted to close it right there and then.
Yeah, and that is the urgency of a producer. There's nothing wrong with that. My experience is when you do a lot of production and you get a bunch of, you're going to get a certain percentage, 20, 30% of the people that are going to be those, down the road type of people. The more you stack those up, eventually down the road, they just start feathering in. And, when I was doing heavy production, I'd keep stacking those, down the road people and put them in my calendar to call, schedule the next meeting, do all that stuff. And so every week, as time progressed, I would have one or two meetings that were just, I was going to take a nap. I wasn't going to do a meeting. It was, hey, this is our time to take an application. I'll be there. We're going to make sure that we nail down what it is that you guys need. But, I'd feather in 2-3 applications a week just because I had piled up those, I want to wait until X date, to take care of it. But you have to be intentional about making sure that they stay on your calendar. You're following through on when you said you'd contact them. You have to be intentional about all that stuff or else it doesn't work. All right. Any other questions? Things that are going on, struggles, challenges?
Hey, Mike, I have a question.
Yeah.
I have an appointment set up where the client had already sat down and with a different company, and they were declined, but they have no idea who the company was that declined them because they didn't know who it was that was submitted. And so I have an appointment to sit down with him next week. He doesn't have he just takes one blood pressure medication, so I'm not sure why he was declined. But how would I proceed with that as far as finding a different carrier?
Well, you can do one of two things. I've had a similar situation. So I met with a guy. He had taken an application with Americo, actually, I believe, with another individual not in Symmetry. And I was surprised when I went through the guide. I was very surprised that they even tried to apply at that particular carrier because it wasn't one that showed up and I knew that he would be declined. So in the meeting, I actually had them call the agent while I was there and put me on the phone with the agent. And I asked them point blank, hey, I'm here sitting with them. They're not taken care of. You submitted this a week ago. I'm assuming it was declined, right? Yes, it was. Okay. Well, can you tell me why? We're trying to help the client and make sure that we get the right product. The reality is the only reason why that they had applied at Americo is this guy that came in. That's the only company he utilized. So that was his only option. So yeah. If you can give them a little homework and ask them to, call the agent and find out the details on it, or have his number ready for you so that you can call and ask if needed. That's what I would do. Because the only way
Yvette, you're going to look like a hero if you go in there very professionally, pull up the virtual mentor and say, well, why did he even apply with that? My software that I use very clearly says that it wasn't an option. That's going to make you look stellar. And it does a really good thing for the client as well, because they have a much higher level of client experience. They get something that they know that they can get approved for.
It's key that you know why, because that is going to affect it's going to affect how you apply and how you respond if they ask if something's been declined, and it shows up in the MIB report. So it's key that you try to find, if you can. it'll be a really interesting situation if they don't even have the guy's number and they can't even contact him. Then I'd be like, well, it's a good thing you're not working with him because apparently he's sketchy. And that makes you look like, again, and you'll be able to get them qualified. It's just a matter of, I would take them, if you can't get any of the details, take them through the process like normal, and just, you have to dig in deep about any kind of issues. Like, let's go back 7, 8, 10 years. You know, have you ever had anything that will show up in your medical records? Any medications, anything that was prescribed to you that you didn't fulfill the prescription? Anything at all. I gotta know the details, and you'll uncover it more than likely. You're breaking in and out. You're breaking in and out, Yvette. I can't hear you. All right. So next, anyone else have anything?
Mike?
Yeah.
It's Omar again. I had something very similar to that. What happened is the client got visited for someone from Mutual Omaha. I talked to Chris about this already, but this is just, I don't know, now that I think about it, but basically what she did, when she applied for Mutual Omaha, she was overweight. I visited with her. She was slightly overweight, but not much anymore. She was good. So we submitted her applications to AmeriCorps, not knowing that she had a policy on her kids for 3 kids. She didn't even have the policy in her hand. She never got the policy back. So I submitted through AmeriCorps thinking she would be approved, and AmeriCorps tells you, yes, you can go ahead and apply. When I submitted to, then I got a response back. I got a call back from the agent, the underwriting agent, and basically told me, you know what, she's not approved. She has something on her MIP. She applied with another company, and basically what happened is that the other company she applied with, the weight that you're putting and the weight that she put or he put is completely off. So we won't be able to do anything anymore. Nobody will.
And that's why it's so important that you help them understand the process and that this stuff goes in their records. It's so important that you make sure when you're meeting someone for the first time, a lot of agents don't realize that if you don't do it right, you can screw up their opportunity for getting insurance, like, for a long time. So that's where we've got to take our job seriously, which I think most of us do, but we've got to be very intentional about treating these as, I always like to treat clients like they're my parents. I mean, I would never do anything to my parents that would cause them any kind of detriment. So that tends to be the way I, especially when I'm meeting with someone that's older than me, if they're in their 50s, their 60s, I can look at them and say, hey, listen, if you guys were my parents, this is what I would do, and this is why, and this is how we're going to do it. And this is to protect you. And this is why we're going to go through the process in this manner. And I flip it on them. If I was sitting down first with you, the application that you already took, I would have never done this because of this, this, and this. This is why. Doing that in that process reassures them that you're there to help them. You're not there to make a sale. You're there to make sure that you're doing what's best for them. All right. Anything else? I want to go through a couple of things. I want to address any questions you guys have about the virtual mentor and the activity tracker. I also want to address any questions that you guys might have with the insurance simulator, the one that gives you product recommendations, the recommender. I want to address questions that you guys are having around some of the systems that we utilize, so that we're the most productive that we can be around those. I lean so heavily, okay, even to this day. I think some of you guys are way better at this than I am. I lean so heavily on the recommender of the virtual mentor that literally, if you guys, it's comical. if you guys ask me, hey, what do you guys think about this? Guess where I'm going? Like, I don't have this stuff memorized. In fact, I don't want to memorize it personally because it takes up headspace for me. There's no reason for me to memorize some of this stuff unless it's just easy stuff. The guide is so helpful, but there's some easy misses that people make, some assumptions in the guide, some things that they click on. They don't know why the results are coming back different than what I have. You know, the insurance recommender is only as good as the input that you put into it. So any questions, I want to answer any questions that you have around the guide. I want to answer questions that you have around the activity tracker, because if we're going to hit, guys, we have commitments. I was looking this morning at the commitments that you guys have provided to me, and we have commitments for over 280,000. We have goals for almost 400,000. And I can guarantee you guys that we will not hit those if you're not using the activity tracker and paying attention. I can guarantee it. So I want to make sure that we understand how the tracker works. I want to make sure that the goals, you know, if you've got questions, this is happening, that's happening, how do I do this? I want to make sure that we get that ironed out so that you guys can just consistently, all you got to do is go execute on the activity, plug it in, and see the results happening. That's what we need to do. We need to become a united team on executing on those goals and on those commitments. So any questions that you have around the recommender or the activity tracker?
I have a question, Mike.
Yeah, Ron.
And just more like a confirmation, I guess. Like I'm going to meet a client. I'm on the way there now. And he was on insulin, but now he's off. So when I did the evaluation last night.
You don't do that. You don't go on insulin and then come off insulin. Once you go on insulin, you're on insulin forever.
Well, that's what he's telling me. He said he was on it for a short period of time and the doctor took him off.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
nope. 0%. 0%.
Okay.
Coming from a medical background, I'm just telling you that's not how that works.
And what and to follow up what, you know, the client might feel that way, but what I would tell him is that the carrier is going to respond as if you're still on it. Even if you aren't, in fact, it's a little bit of a concern from a carrier standpoint that if you're asked to be on insulin and you come off of it, that's a bigger risk for them because they don't know that you're regulated. I mean, that's
right.
That's the big concern. So, and Chris, you might have even more experience than me on this. So, I mean, I don't know your thoughts. I would just put in the recommender that he's on. I would just assume it.
Yeah. I mean, and if you see enough people, you're going to find out that they think that they know what's going on with their health, and they don't, sadly. But the reality of just in any situation like that, diabetes is a type 2 diabetes is a progressive disease that most people will allow to, make worse. You can come out of type 2 diabetes due to, major lifestyle and diet changes. But
right.
Once you go on insulin, you don't get better. Like your pancreas doesn't like respond in that way. So once you're on insulin, it's just a downhill slope from there.
So
you
this
don't
just
get to come off of insulin. He just doesn't know what's going on with his health. Basically, is what he's saying.
No, I appreciate that, guy. So this is just, I guess, experience that you know these things. You know what to look for, what not to, what they're saying, whether it's spot on or not.
Well, it's
well,
experience.
I mean, I know. Yeah, I know that from working in the lab, but yeah, it's also experience. Yeah,
it's experience, but also I always take what the client says with a grain of salt. I mean, if they've been on, if they've come off of anything, this is just my opinion. If they've come off of anything in the last 6 to 12 months, the insurance carrier is still going to probably assume that there's a problem. So I'm going to, especially you do this with smoking, you do this with, depression, you do this with, diabetes. I mean, anything of that, any concerning medication, oxycodone. I mean, okay, you took it 6 months ago. Why? Well, I had some pain. Well, tell me about the pain. Well, it was a chronic back pain, but I don't need it anymore. Well, Okay. I mean,
Right.
maybe that's the case, but I hate to say this. They're going to look at it. It's going to be a problem. Like, we're going to have to assume that that is a problem so that we can get you covered. That's the way I look at it.
Okay.
Hey,
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Mike, I got something until we go to the virtual mentor. Do you specify a period of time, or Chris or anybody, a specified time to say, have you ever, I'm starting to ask, are you currently on any medications? Have you been on medications for anything for the last 10 years? Is that a good time frame, or should it be 5? Or don't you typically put a time frame to meds that they were on?
No, that's a good question. I'll open it up to the team. What would you guys say? I don't always want to be the one answering. Okay, I guess I will answer then. So I would tell you that at least 7 years. Most carriers are at least 7 years. 7 to 10 is kind of a time frame that is kind of a gray area. Yeah, if you want to go all the way out and make sure that they don't have a problem, 10 years is a good range. The biggest issues I see with people getting decline rated and you're surprised by it is not necessarily medications that they are currently on. It's medications that they were on that either didn't get fulfilled, like they have a problem, they get prescribed a medication, it's in their records, and they go, well, I don't need that, I'm not going to take that, and they don't fill it. Well, then they're going to ask you, like, you were prescribed this, like the doctor says you have X, why didn't, and it's going to show up as that they're lying, or they didn't address that properly on the application. So for me, is there any medications that you were prescribed, any medical issues that you consulted with your doctor on that might be in your medical record that you're unaware of? Or an issue that you have resolved that you came off of that you don't have a problem now with. Those types of things are going to be the ones that cause you to have declines and issues.
Thank you. I think the key word is adding that or prescribed.
Yeah.
That's a key word, not just currently on or past, but or prescribed, or that you have filled and never basically, or doctor prescribed you and you didn't fulfill. Thank you.
It's like you getting stopped on the highway for a speeding ticket, and you remember that, it wasn't a big deal. Like, he just stopped me and kind of gave me a warning. Well, that's fine. That might have been your third warning. And in your record, it shows that you're kind of borderline diabetic, like you're borderline X, whatever. And the client's going to say, no, I don't have a problem. That's not a big deal. Like, it really isn't a big deal. Well, that's the way you feel about it. But that doesn't, the carrier doesn't care how you feel. The carrier cares about the risk. So if you help them understand, I would rather you be over the top with information than forget and not provide me with something that's necessary for me to help you get qualified.
Thank you. That helps out a lot.
Yep. All right. Anything else? Let's move into, unless there's any other questions on some of the prescription stuff. These are all really good questions. Let's move into the activity tracker and the recommender. What questions do you guys have? I had a few things pop up last week. People were having a hard time getting activity actually to stick in the activity tracker. Is anyone still having that issue? Does everyone understand how to use the activity tracker and how to input the data? I'm getting a couple of head nods. Okay, well, for those of you that I can't see because you're on the phone, I can't see your head nodding. So I'm just going to make sure that everyone's aware. When you go into the activity tracker, first of all, if you don't see a goal that you can report on, that is because you haven't gotten with your upline to create a goal. Okay, so first of all, you need to get with your upline, get with me, get with Chris, get with Santos team, whoever your upline is, and set a commitment and a goal, and we will adjust the activities that are necessary for you to hit that goal and put that as a personal goal. Okay, a personal goal. There's two types of goals inside the activity tracker, guys. There's a personal goal and there's a common goal. The common goal is common among everyone on the team or a group of people on the team. And right now we have two common goals. There's full-time production that's based on $20,000 a month. If you are full-time, I want you to see what your activity is up against what Symmetry considers full-time. So a Symmetry agent, full-time, $20,000 a month, you're dialing a certain amount, you're setting a certain amount of meetings, that there's a standard expectation, okay? So if you're full-time, you're gonna be in that common goal. And if you're part-time, which is totally fine, we are okay with part-time as long as you're fully committed, okay? There's a total difference there. We don't want you partly committed and part-time. We want you part-time, fully committed. We're going to put you in the part-time common goal, which has a different level of activity expectation. And it's 50% of the full-time expectation, okay? There's no reason why you can't go out and write 5,000 to 10,000 of production, okay? And again, that doesn't mean that, what I want you guys to understand with the common goals, that doesn't mean that if you're not hitting that, you're not successful. It simply means that it's a barometer. You need to see where you're at as it relates to the expectation of a part-time individual, okay? Everyone's got different goals and different expectations. That's why the personal goal is strictly geared towards you, what you exactly want to get every single month. We've got the goals set all the way through conference at February conference, and then we will reset these goals after conference to be for the next 6 months, okay? So number one, make sure you have a goal. If you don't have a goal, you're not going to be able to track anything, okay? Provided you have a goal, you guys need to understand that when you go in and you input these items into the activity tracker, there's a common mistake. Everyone goes in and they search for the week that they're in. The week comes up, it's empty, and there's all these little places you can input data, but there's a pencil next to each input. That pencil next to, there's a green checkbox that next to each input that has to be checked. That has to be clicked on every single one of them. You do not need to hit the submit button again. The submit button is for searching, okay? You have to click that green checkbox on every single item for it to be actually saved in the system. You don't have to save every single one of them. You might input 3 of them and come back and make an adjustment, okay? It can be done on the fly. It doesn't have to be done all at once, okay? But you guys need to be doing that that data needs to be inputted by Sunday so that it's ready for a Monday meeting. Here's one of the things I want you guys to kind of ponder on as it relates to growing yourself, growing the culture of the team, mentorship, being a mentor to someone else. I want you guys to think about something. When you come to a meeting, Monday morning meeting, Wednesday leadership training, Wednesday national call, Thursday meeting, the builders call for those of you that are builders on Friday, I would say 70% of you, and I used to do this as well, just show up, okay? And there's nothing wrong with that. We need you to show up. But if you want to be 20% more effective, don't just show up. Do some prep before the meeting so that you're prepared for it. So today, for example, it's group mentor session. Come to this meeting with 2 or 3 items you want to get from it. That's the way you're productive. That's what 20 to 30% more focus looks like. Again, that's the little difference that people do. That's the difference between average and successful. It's not a lot of difference, but now you're coming to a meeting and you're getting a lot more out of it because you've taken 5 or 10 minutes. It doesn't take a lot of time, guys. You've taken 5 or 10 minutes to prep, to become prepared, to know this is what I want to get from this meeting, and now you've gotten it. So the same is true with Monday morning. Don't do it 60 seconds before the call starts, guys. Again, you're flying by the seat of your pants. That is not the way success happens. Okay. Take the time, schedule 20, 30 minutes on Sunday evening, go through all your numbers, put them in, make sure they're correct, make sure they're showing up correctly, make sure that you have a couple of items that maybe you want to bring to the team, because if you get called, now you are showing other people what it means to be a successful producer. You've done the activity, you're prepped, you're ready, you know where you're headed, and you know what you want to get from the meeting. Those are the things that, again, I see that happening with a couple of people. I'd like to see it happen with 100% of people. I'd like to see that happen with the majority of the team, where you take the initiative to be successful and be prepared. That's what so I want to make sure that everyone has a good idea of what the activity tracker is and how to plug that in.
So Mike, can you just like really quickly go over each category so everybody knows what it is? And then it's really say, you know, if you're starting a team, what would you recommend the best way to introduce them to that once they get licensed and start utilizing it?
So the introduction to it should happen on its own through the 10 steps. Quite frankly, and if we need to make an adjustment on it, we can, but quite frankly, it needs to be one of the core things. I mean, if people are going into the home without this, to me, that's scary. Okay. So it needs to be something that is fundamentally a part of their learning expectation. It's in the 10 steps. It's all part of it. Okay. So
the reason I'm asking, Mike, is because we've done it. And when we switched over, there's been some challenges.
Sure.
So I'm just kind of thinking of the best way to kind of shortcut that for my new agents coming in, that they're more comfortable and understand it more fully.
So
that makes sense.
No, that's a great question. And here's my response. It's pretty simple. Your team is going to do exactly what you do.
Right.
So what I would do is, hey guys, this is what I do. Sunday night, I prep. I get everything ready. Just tell them what you do. This is my expectation. My expectation is that you follow my lead. That's my expectation. Okay. So we're going to go over and make sure that you take the initiative, log in, look at the tracker. Let's make sure that we go through the combination to your safe so that we know what kind of goal you want based on your income, what the activity is going to be. Guys, the way I plug in the goals is all I do is plug in what they're wanting from an income standpoint into the combination to their safe. It tells me everything they need. Okay. All I'm doing is dragging that information over into the activity tracker, plugging in the goals for them. And once they have those plugged in, then your job is simply to tell them, Sunday night, guys, did you get your stuff done? I got mine done. It's done. It's uploaded. It's proper. Everything looks good. I've got everything updated. Have you gotten yours done? It's all about, it's about being very systematic and boring about telling your team exactly what you're doing when you're doing it. It's not a complicated process. It's a little uncomfortable for people because the numbers actually prove if people are doing what they're supposed to be doing, and that's the uncomfortable part. So oftentimes you'll get an agent that's new that did a little bit of activity. They don't want to report it because it doesn't look good.
Right.
It's not about looking good, guys. It's about being honest with what you're doing, because if you're not honest, you are going to hemorrhage out of this business. It is going to be a slow bleed out of the business if you're not honest with what you're doing. And is it getting you the results? And be honest, look yourself in the mirror. I'm not doing enough dials. I'm not getting the right close ratio. I'm not, whatever it is, I'm getting a lot of fall offs. I need help here. That's what the numbers are for. And really, honestly, that's the information that I'd like to have you guys bring to the mentor session is that, hey guys, I've looked at my numbers. I'm not getting what I want here. This is what I need help on. I need a higher close ratio. I need a higher set ratio. It sounds like I might need some coaching on my phone script. On this group mentor session, if you guys came to me and said, hey, I want to do some role playing on this. This is what I'm struggling with. or I'm noticing my numbers are bad here. I don't know what it is. I need someone to look at them. I don't know. That's what I need from you guys. And that's what you have to teach your team to do. It's a coach and follow thing. They're going to do exactly what you're doing. If you're not doing it, they're not going to do it. That's just the reality of the game. So let me do, I'm going to do this. I'm going to just quickly screen share. Those of you that I am recording this. So if for some reason you guys aren't on the video, I'm going to share this with you guys. I can share it later. But I do want to just go over, you know, if you look at a couple of items here, you guys won't have this add activity or the create goals. You won't have those. You'll just have the activity dashboard and I believe the reports. And you'll be able to, you know, actually but so I want to show you this here. I mean, this is the team activity. You're going to see from last week, we had 11 people the previous week. We had 7 people last week in the agency report on the team activity. Guys, there's, I don't know, 20 people, 22 people, 25 people in here that can report. And here's the irony. Here's the funny part. If you look at the active producers, the people that are actually doing, it ends up being the people that are doing this. It's just comical to me that everyone's got the slate laid out here. If you want to be successful, you set a goal, you track it, you make adjustments, you get mentored, you follow the system. And here we're trying to promote the system. Track it, guys. Track. Every single one of you. If you're not tracking, I promise you, you will not be here. I promise you. I don't know if it'll be 2 months, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. I don't know how long, but eventually, if you're not tracking, paying attention, you will get frustrated. You won't know what to do about it, and you will quit. That is the reality of the game. Okay. So down here, we can see, and this is the scary part that people, I think, get uncomfortable with. You can see what people have done. You know, you can see Yvette did her numbers, Omar did his, Elazar, Jeffrey, Brittany, Brandon, Ron. And the irony is that most of these people are producing. I mean, that's just the reality of the numbers. You know, so, you know, my numbers won't be in here because I don't have numbers, guys. So I can put zeros every week if you guys want to see them. That's fine. I'm not in the field. Okay. So you're not going to see my numbers on here, but every single one of the people that are taking applications are for the most part tracking their numbers. Now, I did want to cover, I don't know if Yvette, are you still on? She may not be still on because I know sometimes people fall off, but I did want to address, and I wanted to see if anyone else was having this issue. Those of you that have both the common goal and the personal goal, do you have to go input that twice, or do you put it in your personal goal and it automatically translates over? Because I'm trying to figure this out. I need your help on this, because I need to take this back to Matt so that the developers can make sure it's done correctly. Yvette told me that she had put it in twice and it populated it twice somehow. I'm not sure exactly how that happened. So are you guys only putting it at once?
I'm only putting it in once, Mike. This is Omar.
Okay, so you only put it in once. Okay. I want to look at something. Anyone?
But I'm not sure that it populates in both areas, though.
I don't think I'm having that problem, but I am having another problem. But we'll address that when we get done with this. But I think it's only showing up once for myself as well.
Okay. So hang on just a second. So Omar, let me do this. You did yours only once last week. I'm just running through some of this on the screen, guys. So it is not moving it over to your full-time. So I think what's happening, just so you guys are aware how the system's working right now, if you put it in your personal goals, it does not auto-populate it over to your full-time production common goal. So for the time being, okay, I will pass this off to Matt to have the developers make it to where you guys don't have to input it twice, okay? But for the time being, and I need everyone to hear this, I need you to put it in twice if you have a personal goal and a common goal. If your only goal, so like Chris, I know yours, your only one is full-time. That's it, okay? So if you have a personal and you have a common goal, and you should be able to see that, okay? If you have it, you need to put it in twice, okay? And I'm sorry for the extra work. We'll get it. I promise you, we will get it to where it will auto pull over. It's just a matter of having the developers make that adjustment. So in the interim, and this is why I need you guys doing this regularly, because I need the input. I need feedback from you guys. As glitches happen, things don't work. I need that feedback. That's super important. Jeffrey, did you have something that you wanted to ask?
I think it's more of just me doing something wrong. I'll address that offline. I don't want to, I believe I wasn't seeing all the team activity for some reason. I was not, when I went to the activity, I guess you have to hit dashboard, and it should show the whole team, correct?
If you're in a common goal, it should show it up here.
Okay, so only for the common goal, which is for the team, obviously. Got it.
Correct.
Okay, I think.
Are you not seeing the agents individual?
I only saw a few, but maybe that's because other people didn't have their information in yet. So I'll go back over it.
Yeah.
I don't want to take up time.
You should see the agents individually as well. Now, if you're not, again, that's because there's something that needs to be recoded in the software, and that's totally fine.
I will double check that and get back with you offline here.
If you're not, and please, guys, give me feedback. Send me stuff. Hey, I noticed this. I noticed that. I know that I was talking to Elazar. The mobile version of this is a little bit weird. If you're doing this on your phone, it doesn't. The frames don't match right. It's just coded weird.
Yes. I will check that and get back to you. Okay.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. So any other questions on the activity tracker? Do I need to go through and show you guys how to input stuff? Anything at all? There is no dumb question, guys. Okay. So I'm going to assume that everyone on this call, which we've got a good 17 people, I should be seeing a good 16, 17 people inputting stuff into the activity tracker. If you don't have a goal, you got to get with me, okay? Got to get with Chris, got to get with your upline. But I should see down here, we only have 8 from last week. I should see this double this next week, okay? So.
Buenos días. Todo muy bien por acá. Espero que por allá también. Gracias a Dios.
Okay.
So Mike, real quick, totally forgot my question. I got distracted there. I'll come back.
That's all right. I get distracted when people try to speak to me in Spanish. I have no clue what they're talking about, so I don't know what to.
So Mike, can you quickly just go over each of the elements in the tracker for the input?
I can. So let me do this. I'm going to log out for a second, and I'm going to log into a demo side, if I can remember it. I think this is it. I hope it's it.
I remember my question, Mike. So the activity is up is for a week, is Monday, basically Monday through Saturday night, correct?
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
The time frame that you're putting a week in, it's not done for us. That's a stupid question, actually. through Saturday night, correct?
The time frame, the tracking of the time frame goes from, so it all rolls over from Friday, so Saturday through Saturday is basically, but you gotta remember that we're reporting on Monday. So
Right.
what I don't want you guys to get confused on is we're reporting Monday. So it's going to be all the previous from Monday back. It's going to be all the previous activity that you did.
Yeah.
Okay? Monday, from Monday back behind you. All right. I don't have my password real quick. So, Ron, what is your login information? Do you know your login for the guide?
It's R. Dilbert.
And it's not a big deal if people know your password because it's only the guide. So what's your password for the, if you're okay with it, or you can message me. You can message me. If you
I'm driving.
Well, don't message me. Never mind. Jeffrey, can you message me so I can get into your backside of your stuff? All right. So while we're doing that, I see a slight smirk from Chris. I love it. I love it. Like, yeah, we're handing out passwords on a video conference that's recorded. I thought
That's good security.
It's great security. It's really good security.
With an IT background, that's what I told everybody to do.
Can I also have your credit card information and
my social?
Yeah. While you're at it,
Sure. I trust you.
Yeah, I'm gonna share this with everyone in Symmetry.
Just throw it on the internet. That's fine.
So while I'm getting that information to log in, all right. Any other question? I'm gonna log in here. Any other questions that you guys have with the activity tracker?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to jump in a couple of minutes.
Okay, that didn't work for me, Jeffrey. That's okay. No big deal. I'm gonna go back in. We'll look at this a different way. All right, so I will show you. I want to show you guys, I guess, some of the setup side of things, and we kind of went over this at Tulsa, but what you guys need to understand is these are the main core items that we're tracking. Okay, so A leads, bonus leads, dials, contacts, door knocks, appointments set, sits per week, applications taken, APV. And let me make a clarification on an APV. To make this as accurate as possible, it's important that you track the annual premium volume that you actually took applications on, that you are submitting into Opt. It won't be quite as good if all you do is, like, if you just take a couple of applications that are kind of like, I'm kind of going to throw it up there and maybe make this work. It's not going to be quite as good. If you do that, just make sure that it's the stuff that you're putting into Opt. That way the data will be very accurate to the activity. Recruiting calls and then appointments ahead for the week. And I'll say this, it's important to know what you're ahead for the week. That actually does give you a very good assessment from an agency standpoint. The total number of appointments per week gives you a very good assessment as to the actual production that will happen for the agency. So if we as an agency are shooting for 200,000, in a month, Chris, I know you're chomping at the bit. What's the number of appointments that we need to have? If we're going to do 200,000 in a month, 50,000 a week, what number of appointments do we need to have as an agency?
So is that for the upcoming week or the past week?
Hold on. Hold on, Chris, you're muted. You're still muted. I can't hear you, man. Go ahead. Do it now. Talk. Make it happen. We can hear you now, Chris.
If the a rolling week. It's appointments ahead, and you want to know to be 200,000. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so 50,000 a week.
Yeah. You need to, as a team, then we need to have 126 appointments ahead scheduled collectively as a team.
120.
That's the most realistic indicator of what our income will be, is knowing over the upcoming 5 days how many appointments ahead as a team we have.
So 120 ahead. So here's what's interesting. Appointments ahead. Look, here's as a team. Now, I know this isn't accurate because a lot of you aren't tracking it. So as a team, all we had over the last several weeks was 50 some ahead. Now, I know that's not accurate because we did $173,000 of production, okay? So we should have had probably 100, I would say, or thereabouts, 100 ahead on an average basis. So I know that 50% of you guys aren't tracking your numbers. I mean, I just know you're not, okay? So again, back to the united team effort. We all pull together. We all pull our own weight. Back to that whole mentality. Guys, if you're not tracking your numbers, the team doesn't know exactly what they're going to do. You know, it's not all about you. In fact, it's rarely about you in this business. It's about how it affects the team.
100%. And then I would also say on our end, as far as us wanting to help you progress in the business, it's really hard to coach you around things if we don't have numbers. You know, there's an art and a science to this, and just tracking your numbers, that gives us a really good baseline for what it is. Because if someone comes in and they say, oh, I feel this way, or I feel that way, I can talk to them about that, but I can't really lift up the hood and see what the actual problem is if there's no diagnostic for me to work with on the numbers.
That's exactly right. And those of you that hate numbers, that's okay. Just take 5 minutes to put it in. You don't have to analyze it. You do not have to analyze anything in this. All you have to do is just put them in the system. The system analyzes them, and your mentor will analyze them. So I will go through, like, create goals. If you guys are looking, I've got goals set up here for a group of people. And this is what's interesting. There's only a handful of people that have sent me their commitments. I'm going to be updating a lot of these based on the commitments I got yesterday. So those of you that don't have it in the system yet, you'll see the ability to track all of this after today. You will see it because I've gotten all the commitments and the goals from, I would say, the majority of people in the agency. So if any of these need to be updated, we can change these as we go. So we can make an update if we need to by just, you know, again, and we can do this on the fly. We can update the ins and outs of anything that needs to happen for a person. So it's pretty, guys, it's pretty basic. I would encourage you to just spend 15, 20 minutes digging around at it. Just dig around at it. You don't understand it, message me. I'll update you, but please don't be one of the people that gets to Sunday and we get a Monday morning call. You haven't done your numbers. You don't know. Please don't be one of those, please. Okay. I think I've said enough about that. We are on time here. It's 10 o'clock. We need to jump off. You guys got production to do. Leverage this system, guys. Leverage the activity tracker to be the key that helps you track and hold yourself accountable to the numbers. Like all the time, I get people to say, hey guys, what do I need to do? Tell me what I need to do and I'll do it. It's in the activity tracker. That's it. The activity tracker is going to tell you what you got to do on a weekly basis. What it's not going to do is it's not going to execute it for you. That's your job. So appreciate you guys. Let me know if you want any additional items covered for next week. I will not be doing next week. We will find someone else because ironically, all of us as leaders that are doing the right things, guess what? We're going to be gone. So we're going to spend some time Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Wednesday is the leadership conference for those that are growing a business out in Asheville. Thursday is Rock to Rock Challenge. I will not be doing the Monday morning call because I will be, that will be the day after we are burying my grandmother, who is 102. She just passed away. So that is what we'll be doing. Friday, for those of you that want to know, I'm going to rub it in everyone's face because I can. Friday, we're going to be driving around a racetrack with a lot of really fast cars because the people that qualified, Chris and Brittany and Elazar, we all get to drive race cars, just have a good time. And sorry, you guys can't do that. I really feel sorry for you. That was really bad. I shouldn't have done that. All right, guys. Appreciate each one of you. I'm not rubbing it in your face. Well, I kind of am. We'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one, okay?
Have a good one.